Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today, I'm talking about whether or not I was wrong to hate on Iron Maiden. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So this goes back a couple of weeks ago. I did a video all about bands that I find unlistenable. And in that video, Iron Maiden was one of the bands I talked about. I've listened to a lot of their stuff. I should say that I've never listened to either of the pre-Bruce Dickinson albums. And I've had a lot of people say, hey, look, if you can't stand Bruce Dickinson's vocals, go back and listen to the earlier stuff, the first two albums, and maybe you'll have a different opinion. Because musically, I think they do a lot of really good stuff, even though a lot of it kind of sounds the same. And some of it's kind of like cookie cutter metal and not so great cookie cutter metal. It's really Bruce Dickinson's vocals. I just can't get past that. And as much as like I said, there have been some stuff throughout their career that I'm like, okay, that's an okay song, but it just the vocals, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. And there's really no denying their influence. They're a hugely influential band. I know, and probably why I kind of feel that's kind of cookie cutter in a lot of ways is because there's a lot of metal bands that copied what Iron Maiden did. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're not an influential band. It just the vocals for me I just can't get past. And I got a bunch of comments in that video about Iron Maiden and my dislike for Iron Maiden. And like I said in the video, I've always thought Iron Maiden musically was really good. It was really kind of came down to Bruce Dickinson's vocals. And there are a couple people that asked in the comments whether or not it was just really that like theatrical operatic style of vocals that Bruce Dickinson has. And I think it's kind of what it comes down to for me, because something about his vocals just kind of gets to me. Whereas, Freddie Mercury is kind of a similar kind of style. Ronnie James Dio has a similar style, and I don't mind either one of those vocalists. It's just him. There are a couple other ones out there also, but it just something in his voice, something that just kind of gets to me, really makes it really hard for me to listen to the Bruce Dickinson era of Iron Maiden. And I've had this conversation, not necessarily on this channel a lot of times, but I've had this conversation multiple times with people in my normal everyday life. And the thing that I always bring up to me is, well, if they're an Iron Maiden fan, is, well, you've got to listen to the first two Iron Maiden albums before Bruce Dickinson joined the band, and they'll give you a better sense of what the band was. And I'm not completely unfamiliar with the Paul Di'Anno version of Iron Maiden. Fan of the opera is like one of the few tracks from that era, or really from Iron Maiden, that I've listened to quite a bit over the years. I love that track. So like I said, I wasn't completely unfamiliar with his vocal style. I just never sat down and listened to their debut album or Killers. So I was thinking about this a couple of nights ago. I sat down, I said, look, I'm going to finally listen to their debut album. And I streamed it all the way through. And it's a damn good album. I was really impressed with it. It's something I definitely will listen to multiple times again. I went right away on Amazon and grabbed a copy of it. I also ordered a copy of Killers, but I don't have that yet. But I kind of stand by what I said in that video, because it's not really Iron Maiden I've got an issue with. It's just the vocal style of Bruce Dickinson. But, they are a great band. I understand why so many people love this band. So I haven't listened to Killers yet, but I expect Killers to be the same quality as their debut album was. Like I said, I ordered both albums. I just haven't gotten Killers yet. I'll listen to it once I get it. But, like I said, musically, great. I think they're, obviously, I understand why they're one of the biggest metal bands of all time. But like I said, it was just the Bruce Dickinson stuff. So now that I go back and listen to the Paul Di'Anno stuff, like I said, I'm really enjoying this album. I'm sure I'm gonna like Killers also. But like I said, with the full operatic stuff that kind of like the over the top vocals that Bruce Dickinson had or has, there's something there that it just kind of full on stops me from listening to the band. Also had that, for the longest time, I had kind of had the same feeling for Ronnie James Dio. And I think that was mainly because I grew up a huge fan of the Ozzy version of Black Sabbath. And, After the band's breakup, it was really kind of hard for me to see Black Sabbath with a different lead singer. So I never really gave Dio a shot until, it was when they reissued Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules a few years ago. It was when I finally gave Dio a shot and really kind of listened to his music. And even though I'm still not a huge fan of his solo stuff, outside of Holy Diver, I think it's a really good album. But and I should say some of his live stuff is really good also. But his early stuff with Black Sabbath is really good. I've gotten more into his stuff because of how good those albums are. So while I'm definitely not retracting anything I said in the previous video, I'm a man of my word. I said I would listen to the first couple of albums from Iron Maiden and kind of give my thoughts on those albums. And like I said, I've been really impressed with the first album. I'm sure Killers is going to be equally as good. I also did want to kind of clarify a comment I made in that video. I said that Iron Maiden sounded kind of like cookie cutter metal. And what I meant by that is, and I kind of even clarified it a little bit in the video, was Iron Maiden was a hugely influential band. A lot of bands, their first album came out, 1980, was when their debut came out. A lot of bands after that, in a short period of time, really kind of copied that same style that Iron Maiden had. So they had the appearance of having that cookie cutter style. So that's kind of what I meant from that comment. I didn't actually mean that, they were just kind of the same as everyone else that was out there. It was just that in a very short period of time, so many bands really kind of copied that style. And that's kind of where all that came from. One criticism that often gets thrown at Iron Maiden, and one that I don't really think is all that justified, is that the band never really evolved their sound over the years. And I think they're a band they do have different periods to the band, but they're largely their band that kind of, once they found their sound, they kind of just ran with it. And there's a lot of bands over the years that are like that too. I even talked about AC/DC in the video I did a couple of weeks back. And even though I had some really strong criticisms for AC/DC, they're kind of in the same grouping there also. They're another band that once they kind of found their sound with Brian Johnson, they kind of stuck with that and didn't really deviate too far from that. And like I said, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. And I think a lot of bands that have been around for decades and decades, like Iron Maiden has, like AC/DC has also, they kind of get to that point in their career where, they're no longer making the best music of their careers, but I think a lot of bands can still make really good music, 20, 30, 40 years into their career that can justify or satisfy a lot of fans out there, but still might not rival some of the best works of their career. And even though I did have some pretty harsh criticisms of bands like Iron Maiden, AC/DC, I still really respect them as musicians. I respect the fans that enjoy their music also. It might not be for me, but a lot of people out there love their music, and I enjoy seeing other people enjoy music, even if I'm not a big fan of it. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show. Like I said, I finally got around to listen to their first album. Thought it was really good. Is it a 10 out of 10 album? No, probably not. But I'd give it a solid 7.5 the first time I listened to it. Who knows where it'll go from there, but I'm really looking forward to checking out Killers once I get it. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of Iron Maiden. Did you watch my video from a couple of weeks ago? I know there was quite a few really big bands that I discussed in that video. It really made a lot of people mad. It was actually kind of funny for me to go down through all those comments. But let me know what you guys think. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.